Hello, podcast listener. On today's offering, I will be heading to one of the top 30 vineyards in the world. Yet I don't have to fly or travel thousands of miles. This vineyard is just an hour and a half from where I live. Come along, won't you?
We will be and have been more successful and effective by listening to the site, by letting it tell us what it needs, what it wants to be. And I think that's been a big part of the journey of our wine style.
She's Jasmine Hirsch of the highly respected Hirsch Vineyards. And yes, according to Wine Spectator, Hirsch Vineyards is one of the top 30 vineyards in the world. What humbling praise, huh? Of his property, David Hirsch has said, "The land flows away in all directions to the high blue horizon and the edge of the world." In the 1960s and 70s, David was a self-described beatnik wanderer from New York City, yet he experienced more in those 2 decades than many of us have achieved in a lifetime. After a few years in the fashion and textiles industry, which offered him the chance to visit the Burgundy region, he purchased an old sheep ranch about 1,600 feet above the Pacific coast in West Sonoma County, California. David was looking for a quiet, peaceful place to live with no plans to be a farmer. When his drinking buddy and viticulturalist from Santa Cruz visited the property, he said prophetically, "You plant Pinot Noir here, and this will be a world-famous vineyard." Acting on his opinion, David planted his first vines in 1980. His daughter Jasmine spent much of her life on the property and has been an integral part of the winery since 2008. A few weeks ago, I had the chance to visit Jasmine at their extraordinary vineyard to record today's interview. It's such a pleasure to be with you again here in the Hirsch Vineyard.
Thank you for making time to speak with me.
There aren't many vineyards in Sonoma County that compare to this vineyard. Why don't you share some of the remarkable aspects of this property?
Hirsch Vineyards is located in a very small area called Fort Ross Seaview, and what's distinct about this region, Fort Ross Seaview and Hirsch as well, is that it combines a very close proximity to the ocean. The Pacific is less than 3 miles away, while being also a mountain site. And at Hirsch, we top out at 1,600 feet, but there are even higher sites in Fort Ross Seaview. And then we're also half a mile from the San Andreas Fault, which gives us this very complex geology. That combination of factors, being a maritime site, a mountain site, and also having that San Andrean terroir, if you will, is incredibly unique.
So much rock and soil was churned up by that fault over the millennia that it brings you great diversity here.
Exactly. I mean, I think one of the consequences is that actually the fault is very young. The coast of California is, geologically speaking, very young. So being so close to where these 2 tectonic plates met, and then that having happened in geologic time, basically yesterday, means that you have this incredible jumble of soils, and they've not yet had a chance to homogenize. So there are places at Hirsch where you can stand with a foot in dense clay soil and a foot in sandy soil, literally, like there was a line drawn through the ground.
Yeah. You've probably done that just for fun.
Well, you certainly can see it in the vines when you walk the vine row.
You told me once that the conditions up here are not extreme, but I heard your father, David, say the best way to describe the weather is there's no climate. It verges on chaos. You have to be on your toes.
Well, I was just thinking about the 2023 vintage, which we're getting ready to release here pretty soon. And I took over the winemaking in 2019, and I've been with Hirsch since 2008. But the vintages that I've experienced as a winemaker, they're all so incredibly different. And I think that is part of, what makes this an extreme site, that there is so much changeability from year to year. And those changes are enhanced by the raw nature of this site, by the shallow soils, by the more extreme climate due to being so high altitude and the intense sunlight of our altitude as well.
Yeah. When the last time I was up here, there's no breeze at all from what I remember, and that's not the case today.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have that onshore flow, especially with a heat wave coming. It's interesting. I mean, they're talking about triple-digit temperatures inland, but, it doesn't feel like it's going to get too hot here because we have that ocean influence. We'll see.
But your dad says it does get up to triple digits up here on occasion.
It certainly can. It certainly can. We can have those momentary heat spikes, but then the fog will come in and it will cool us off, and so
The grapes have thicker skins, the acidity is a little higher than many Pinots, and yet there's a great balance of tannins and fruit with your wines.
Yeah, I think the tannin is one of the hallmarks of the Hirsch Pinot Noirs, and that's, a consequence of being a mountain site with these shallow soils and the high light intensity. Not every vintage is extremely tannic, but many vintages are. And I think that's, again, something that makes this region and these wines unique, that they not just have tannin, but that we as winemakers and farmers, that we embrace that as an essential part of our wines.
And the ageability.
Yes, I mean, very important, though, that the tannins be matched with enough fruit so that they can age, so that there will still be freshness and fruit while you're waiting for those tannins to evolve. And that has been a focus for us since I took over the winemaking, both on the farming side and on the winemaking side, is increased fruit concentration.
And I love to point out that the average alcohol per bottle is less than 14%.
Yeah, most vintages, the alcohols are under 14, sometimes even under 13. Achieving phenolic ripeness or flavor ripeness at lower sugar levels, which results in lower alcohols, is something that has been a focus of ours for 15 years, I would say. And I think converting to biodynamics and farming biodynamically has helped in that goal. And then also the vines aging has helped, and the fact that we use heritage plant material almost exclusively here. We're not using the super vigorous, quickly accumulating sugar Dijon clones of Pinot Noir here. We have a tolerance for imperfection, or what many farmers would think of as imperfection, but we think of as character.
Your wines certainly do have character.
Yeah, I think it's better to make unique wines than perfect wines.
So tell us how those blocks are handled. It's quite impressive.
Our vineyard has 72 planted acres, but those 72 acres are divided into about 60 farming parcels. And the reason there's so many is because of that San Andreas complexity that I was talking about before. Many different soil types, different aspects, different microclimates necessitate an individual approach to farming them, which is why we have so many different blocks. And then each of those blocks is harvested and vinified and aged individually as well.
That is an incredible amount of extra harvest and winemaking effort to undertake. But the payoff is expressed beautifully in each bottle of Hirsch Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Furthermore, David has realized they can't farm the vineyard blocks the same way. They had to develop their own farming practice, which they call farming for balance. David had to transition from being head educated and vineyard manager Everardo from being field educated to being educated by the site. The site would be the teacher, the soil, the plants, and the weather would give them instruction and answer their questions.
My father has always said that if I have a question, to ask the site. We are Westerners, we're Americans with, that kind of training of the mind, and we want to impose our ideas, impose our will, our desires onto our work, onto the place. But we will be and have been more successful and effective by listening to the site, by letting it tell us what it needs, what it wants to be. And I think that's been a big part of the journey of our wine style, that over the years the style of our wines have changed. I think we have found a more successful style for our wines by letting it be dictated by the site and not by our preferences or the preference of the marketplace.
You spent some time here when you were younger, but you traveled the world quite a bit in the early 2000s.
I moved to Europe after university and lived in Prague and Amsterdam, and then moved to New York, and then I did finally come home in 2008.
And the vineyard called you back here in 2009?
Yeah, I would say so, yes, yeah.
What was it like to be here as a little kid? I see some pictures of you climbing on farm equipment. Did you really get into it?
I wasn't so interested in the farming when I was a kid. That felt a lot like work. My father used to make us go out and help in the vineyards. It felt probably like eternity, but I can't imagine we were out there for very long. But I loved being here. It's a paradise for a child. You can roam and explore. And I had all my secret places I liked to visit and trees I liked to sit under and read books. And yeah, this was a magical place to be as a child.
And you're a natural marketer, and you're still at it, traveling quite a bit. In 2016, you were named general manager, following 3 different winemakers for a period of time. As you mentioned, in 2019, you decided to become the winemaker. You put on that hat, and the boots, and it's going really well for you.
Yeah, it's been an interesting new component of understanding this place, and I enjoy the winemaking work a lot. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I do. It's probably the most fun part of my job.
Especially when a wine like your 2021 Ration Ridge receives 2 100-point scores from wine writers. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was enormous surprise, and yeah, it was an amazing, incredible vintage, and the Ration Ridge is an incredible vineyard. We're actually sitting in it right now. It maybe doesn't look like much, but all credit to the unique soil that we have here and to the incredible wet conditions that we had in 2021.
I was going to say, too, you credit the team, aside from the soil and the climate, for the result.
Yeah, I mean, no wine is, at least not, we make a few thousand cases of wine every year, and nobody does that on their own. These wines are a product of 1,000 little decisions, many of which are not made by me. They're made by my incredible team. So yeah, all of these wines are a group effort.
And those scores were followed by Wine Spectator naming Hirsch Vineyard one of the top 30 vineyards in the world. I know you've been a top 100 wine many times, but top 30, that's making quite a statement.
I think a lot of credit for that is due to all the amazing winemakers that have bought fruit from this vineyard over the years. It's got to be 30 to 40 wineries that have made Hirsch Vineyard designated wines under their own label. And we still sell fruit. Literai and Williams-Sellium, Ultramarine, Toomey are all fruit customers of ours still to this day. And that certainly has spread the interest and understanding and knowledge of our vineyard even further.
And your dad's been on the property since the 1970s. When it comes time for him to pack it in, are you planning to continue as GM, marketer, and the winemaker?
Yeah, I might. It'll be hard to replace him, so we might need some more help when he's not working anymore. But for the time being, he's still very active and still managing a large part of the work here. So no plan to change anything, but I like my role right now. But of course, everything changes, so we'll see what happens.
It's interesting with family wineries because as it gets time to pass it on to the younger generation, if there are 3 kids, maybe one will go with the winery and the other 2 might go off in their own direction or vice versa. And sometimes the children don't want anything to do with the winery, but and you have siblings, right?
I do. I have 2 siblings, an older sister and a younger brother.
And they didn't.
We all own the vineyard and the winery together, and everybody's aware of what's going on here. Everybody has their own connection to this place. But in terms of the day-to-day management, I'm the only one of the kids working here. Yeah.
Can you imagine your life going in any other direction than it has?
I think we make all kinds of decisions that we think we know why we're making them, but in reality we don't. And with hindsight, we can maybe try to understand why we made those decisions. So I don't know. I'm of course, nothing's inevitable. So I'm sure it could have turned out a different way. My father talks about the lighthouse that he feels has always been ahead of him, and that he loves to say, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm on the path. Yeah. So.
Do you want to give props to those others around here who are deserving?
We have an incredible winemaking team, including our consulting winemaker, Michael Cruz, who's been with us since I took over the winemaking in 2019, and also our associate winemaker, Melissa Beck, who also joined the team in 2019, and our cellar specialist, Jimmy Bolt, who joined us last year, has been an awesome new addition to the team. So really pretty small full-time winemaking team, but it'll grow when harvest comes. We'll have a bunch of interns coming. Always exciting to have a fresh group of folks here to help us.
And your vineyard crew is outstanding as well. A lot of them have been here a long time.
Our vineyard manager, Everardo Robledo, has been with us since 1989. Yeah, so there's vineyards that we're starting to replant that he actually helped do the original planting. So pretty remarkable to have somebody here with that much knowledge and care and love for the land and deep respect for my father. He's a remarkable person and a remarkable member of this team.
Well, continued success to you.
Thank you.
I know I don't have to say that.
Hirsch Vineyards was also featured in Sonoma Magazine's Harvest issue last fall and named one of Sonoma County's iconic Grand Cru vineyards, which must have made David smile since he's so fond of Burgundy's Grand Cru vineyards. I have a great respect for the brand, which is why I took a position to pour the wine in their Healdsburg tasting room. I worked there last year for about 6 months and have been back this year since March. It's an honor to represent the brand. If you make a reservation someday, there's a chance that I might be the one serving you. To learn more about the winery, the people, to buy some wine, and see some incredible photos, visit HirschVineyards.com. I'll have some photos on my website as well, in addition to wine news, trivia, and more interviews at onthewineroad.us. A big thanks to the talented and busy Jasmine for taking the time to share their story. Today's podcast was written and produced by me. I'm on Facebook as On the Wine Road and Instagram as JD Wine Road. The opening and closing themes were composed by Marscott. Additional tunes are sourced from APM Music. Thanks for joining me on the Wine Road. I'm Jeff Davis.